I am going to call the Tuesday, September 30th Environmental Resources Committee meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and flag. After the pledge, let's have a silent moment of reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, which is public comment. We have 4 people signed up with our 15-minute limit. I will give everybody right around 3 minutes to talk. So first we have David Kilty. Are you here for the rezone? Is that what your comment would be about?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we'll wait till you rezone, and then if you want to talk, I didn't see anything in the subject line, so, okay, so we'll wait till you rezone, then you can talk if you need to. Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing in the reason which you want to talk about, so I didn't know. So is this name of municipality? Okay. All right. Now we have Dean Beck. You wanted to step up. If I could get you to give us, for the record, your name and municipality, please.
Dean Beck, Town of Easton Chairman, from east side of the county. I'm here about the animal waste changes, proposals that's going to be presented. I have been part of that committee. I'm sadly the only person from the eastern side of Marathon County that has attended the meetings. I have concerns about this coming before your committee at this point. I've been meeting with, I've been meeting with the county people and, the farmers around, and we've been talking a little bit, and I feel this is kind of premature. I look at it, I was a dairy farmer, I'm no longer, I'm just retired, and I do rent out my land and stuff, but if phosphorus is what we're trying to control, obviously quality of water, I don't think there's anybody who wants to fight about wanting to have clean water. I think this is kind of unfair to the dairy farmer because of the manure management side of it. I realize there's a lot of farms on the west side, large dairies, a lot of liquid manure. I understand that has to be controlled. I'm worried about the burden on the smaller farmers on my side of town that are the 50 to 75 to 100 cow herds that if this gets implemented, I understand I've been in town government for 33 years. These type of programs start with this framework and build from there with more and more regulation. I can tell you right now the dairy farmers are not, they're hanging on by a thread. If they have to put in this manure retention for a 2-month time period, and there is no state money, no federal money, or grants out there to help these people put up this manure storage and then have a way to haul it once it's in there, is going to be an undue burden on them. And I truly believe it's going to force a lot of the small farmers out. We have a couple of large dairies on our side of town. They both worked the land in our township. The one gentleman, Foosted Farms, fantastic to work with. The other gentleman, not so much. He does what he needs to do, and I have to look at it.
30 seconds, Dean.
But the town roads, if you go to storing this manure, the highest time for our roads to get damaged is in spring with manure hauling. That should be a factor in this too, because it's going to be an undue burden on our town to try and keep up the roads with the extra hauling. That's all I had to really say. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Frederick Donna Hale. Do you want to speak, or you have maybe, so.
Oh, I'm here for.
Oh, so you're for that as well, okay, sorry.
No, I'm
No,
here-
for general agriculture to rural residential.
To rural,
Oh,
yeah. we
Okay,
only
so we'll
have
call
three-
you if you need
We
to.
only have 3 acres.
Okay, so we'll call you up at that time.
Yeah,
So then we have, is it Kevin Jean Smithy?
Kevin Jean Schmidtke, Town of Day, River Run Dairy. Just talking about the waste ordinance proposal. I was completely against it at first. We've had a lot of meetings. They've been productive, a lot of good conversation, a lot of smart people in the room. I was against it at first. I understand it. I don't like regulations, but it's coming either way. So I'm in support of it. And not that I'm anybody, it's just I stood up here months ago and beat him up. So I wanted to come back and say it's a doable thing. And we got to try. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 4, approval of the September 2nd, 2025 committee minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Supervisor Seifelt with the motion to approve. Supervisor Schoenborn with his second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, operational functions required by statute, ordinance, or resolution. First, I'd like to ask everybody to please mute your phone or any other electronic devices. The Marathon County Environmental Resources Committee is now meeting in public hearing on the location, plan, specifications, and purpose of the following projects. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Ronald Hahn, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Knowlton. David Kilty on behalf of Pam Kilty, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Spencer. David Falkowski on behalf of Rome Properties, Farmland Preservation and General Agriculture, Town of McMillian. Tim Vreeland on behalf of Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy, Inc., Farmland Preservation to Rural Estate and General Agriculture, Town of McMillan. Shad Harvey, Marathon County Land Resources Manager, to amend the Marathon County zoning ordinance to rezone lands within the towns of Brighton, O'Plain, Hull, and Marathon. I'd like to introduce the members of the committee. I am Supervisor Mike Ritter. To my left is Supervisor Seifelt. Then we have Supervisor Drabeck, Supervisor DeBrew, Supervisor Shanborn, Supervisor Ungerer, Supervisor Kroll, Supervisor Kurth, and then we have Tom Miller, our farm representative. Members of staff that are present, we have Kirsty Heidenreich, our county conservation is here. Shad Harvey, land resources manager. Nicole Delaney, office manager. Garrett Poggle, land use specialist. The establishment of the ERC committee is required by law for purposes of administration of county ordinances and land conservation programs. This committee must follow state laws and local ordinances as written. The committee cannot change or ignore any part of the ordinance or state laws, but must apply the laws as written. The purpose of this committee is to hear and decide on the proposed ordinances and ordinance revisions, rezoning petitions, and provide direction on land conservation and planning programs. The ERC committee will give a full and fair hearing to any person applying for a rezone petition. A tape recording is being made of this meeting, which will assist with preparation of written hearing minutes. By reading the public notice and allowing staff to present a staff report, including evidence from any on-site inspection, the applicant and anyone wishing to testify will be sworn in and allowed to give testimony. Witnesses will be called in the order of those: first in favor, second opposed, and then third as may appear interested. The committee may ask questions of the zoning staff and applicant. It is necessary that we set a reasonable time limit on individual statements and on the overall length of the hearing. To promote orderly discussion, anyone wishing to present oral testimony or ask questions related to the hearing should state your name, present your testimony or question so it becomes part of the official record. We request you avoid repetition. Once the committee has all the necessary facts, the chairman will close the hearing and allow no further testimony, and the committee will deliberate and decide in front of the public whether the applicant has met the standards in the ordinance. No additional testimony from the public is allowed during the deliberation. However, the committee may question staff for purposes of clarification. After a decision is made, the committee will proceed to the next hearing. Many of the decisions made by the committee are a recommendation to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, who will take up the matter at a future county board meeting. Contact staff for more information regarding this county board process. The committee will now hear item 5A1, Tim Vreeland on behalf of Ronald Hahn, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Knowlton. Garrett, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
All right, this is for Ronald Hahn, petition to rezone land. Staff report September 30th, 2025 for the Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is Tim Vreeland at 6103 Dawn Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. Property owner is Ronald Hahn at 209281 Hahn Lane, Mosinee, Wisconsin, 54455. Area proposed to be rezoned is located on the west side of Hahn Lane near the end of the road. The petition of Tim Vreeland on behalf of Ronald Hahn to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from GA General Agriculture to RR Rural Residential located in the southeast quarter of the fractional northwest quarter of Section 2, Township 26 North, Range 7 East, Town of Knowlton. Area proposed to be rezoned to RR Rural Residential is described as Lot 1 of the preliminary CSM. Parent parcel number is listed. The Town of Knowlton Town Board met September 8th, 2025. Marathon County's Environmental Resource Committee is meeting today, September 30th, 2025 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On September 8th, 2025, the Town of Knowlton Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by a town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criterion standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Garrett? Okay. Then I guess I will call. Is there anybody here or online that would like to speak in favor of item 5A1? One more time.
This is Ronald Hahn. I'm in favor of item number 1.
Ronald, if I could get you to, I need to swear you in for comment.
Sure.
If I could get you to raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, now what's your comment?
Yes. So I'm in favor of item number 1 to rezone
Okay,
as described.
okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of item 5A1? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A1? One more time, is there anybody else that would like to speak against item 5A1? I'll call once. Is there anybody that would like to speak as interested in item 5A1? Okay, I will close this hearing and the committee will deliberate. Supervisor Seifelt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion for the petition of Ronald Hahn to amend the general code ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 Code to rezone land from GA General Agriculture to RR Rural Residential in the town of Knowlton and to pass the conclusions of law and forward it to the county board.
Okay, Supervisor Seafowl with the motion, Supervisor Kurtz with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5A2, David Kilty on behalf of Pam Kilty, General Agriculture to Rural Residential, Town of Spencer.
Okay, so for this one, the town of Spencer did meet on September 8th, and they did request an extension in order to get some further clarification. So it's at whatever pleasure the board may be. I can go through staff report now, or we can wait until the next meeting, whatever the board would like to do.
Supervisor Drabek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you need a motion to postpone then, or no?
I believe there would have to be a motion then, yes. I believe there would have to be a motion.
All right, I'd make a motion to postpone the Kilty,
Okay.
yes.
Super-
I hate how my train of thought derails.
Supervisor Drabek with the motion to postpone. Do I have a second? Supervisor Kurtz with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, item 5A2 is postponed till next month. Item 5A3, David Falkowski on behalf of Rome Properties, Farmland Preservation and General Agriculture, Town of McMillan.
All right, this is for Rome Properties LLC, petition to rezone land. Staff report September 30th, 2025 for the Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is David Falkowski at 201-808 Galvin Avenue, Marshfield, Wisconsin 54449. The property owner is Rome Properties LLC, located at the same address. Area proposed to be rezoned is located north of the intersection of Drake Ave and State Highway 97. The petition of David Falkowski on behalf of Rome Properties to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from FP Farmland Preservation and to GA General Agriculture, described as Lot 1 of CSM number 19958, document number 1908221, located in part of the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter and the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 13, Township 26 North, Range 3 East, Town of McMillan, parcel number as listed. The Town of McMillan Town Board met on September 8th, 2025. Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee is meeting today, September 30th, 2025 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. The existing district is Farmland Preservation. The proposed district is General Agriculture. On September 8th, 2025, the Town of McMillan Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation, the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by a town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by the Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Garrett? Supervisor Kroll?
Probably the same thing.
Supervisor Drabek, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering about this because this said "and" at the rezone, from general agriculture and farmland preservation instead of "to."
Right.
Why is that?
That was a typo in the public hearing
Okay,
notice.
thank you.
We did speak with Mike Puner, Corp Counsel, when he was here, and he did not express any concern with that going forward.
Okay. Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Garrett, I guess my question is very similar in, regarding the zones. So my understanding is that if it's above 35 acres, it can still be zoned farmland preservation. Is that correct?
If it's 35 or greater, that's correct.
So I guess I'm curious the purpose of moving this to general agriculture when it could have been just split into 2 farmland preservation zones.
It actually couldn't because the current, so it says total acres and farm. That's stating the total number of acres that he owns together. So it's a little bit confusing. So when farmland preservation, when you consider what the farm is, it's all of the adjacent acreage that's part of it. That's what they consider the farm. But the way it's split up is because the individual parcel looks like 39.985 acres. That's why that is above the 35-foot or square 35 acre threshold. He's planning to eventually divide it so that he can put a future residence and things like that on it. But then allow for the field itself to be completely farmed. So he's separating an area eventually when he goes to general agriculture.
Sure.
So he can build a residence and then leave the field itself. He can't do that under farmland preservation.
And then that wouldn't apply to farmland or farm consolidation because it wasn't built before 2014, correct?
Correct, yeah, there's no buildings on that property right now.
A follow-up, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the petition, number 10 and letter M. It references that the town of McMillan has like a goal of it to not go below 80% farmland preservation map. You're having a hard time finding this note anywhere in every of their comprehensive plan, so maybe you have some information on that?
Yeah, so that's part of being in the farmland preservation program through the state. You have a farm preservation plan, which it identifies all the parcels that are eligible to be in zoned farmland preservation. You have to, as a town, have at least 80% of your town zoned farmland preservation of that plan.
Sure.
It's not necessarily 80% of all of the parcels, it's 80% of the parcels identified in that plan. So what he's saying in his comment is that by rezoning this property out of farmland preservation, it's not going to drop that threshold in the town of McMillan below 80%.
Okay. Would it be possible at a future meeting to collect all the towns that are participating in farmland preservation to have that percentages for us at some point?
We could try, yeah. I mean,
I think it'd be helpful, but great, thank you.
I don't see why. It may take, I don't know if it'll be by the next meeting, but we can definitely get that information to you.
I would even say at the start of the new year, like a fresh calendar year. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Questions for Garrett? Okay. I will ask, is there anybody here on line that would like to speak for item 5A3?
Yes, sir. David Falkowski, waiting to be sworn in.
Okay, David, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay, what can you tell us?
I am here just to support my request, and in case anybody had any questions, I was online and available to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for David? No? Okay, thanks for chiming in. One more time then, is anybody else want to speak in favor of item 5A3? Is there anybody who would like to speak against item 5A3? One more time, is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A3? Calling once, is anybody here that would like to speak as interested in item 5A3? Okay, I will declare this hearing closed, and the committee will deliberate. Supervisor Drabek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezone of Rome properties from farmland preservation to general agriculture based on the finding of fact as presented to us by staff, inclusions of law, and the town's approval.
Okay, Supervisor Drabek with the motion. Do I have a second? Supervisor Schoenborn with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, item 5A4, Tim Vreeland on behalf of the Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy, Inc., farmland preservation to rural estate and general agriculture in the town of McMillan.
All right, so this is for the Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy, Inc. Petition to rezone land, staff report September 30th, 2025 for the Environmental Resources Committee. The petitioner is Tim Vreeland at 6103 Dawn Street, Weston, Wisconsin, 54476. The property owners are the Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy, Inc., located at 118065 Krause Street, Marshfield, Wisconsin, 54449. Area proposed to be rezoned is located at the corner of Krause Street and State Highway 97. The petition of Tim Vreeland on behalf of the Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy, Inc., to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter 17 zoning code to rezone lands from FP Farmland Preservation to RE Rural Estate and GA General Agriculture, described as Lot 1 of CSM 18288-90-28 and part of Lot 1 of CSM 18279-90-19 and Lot 1 of CSM 18348-90-88, located in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter and the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 24, Township 26 North, Range 3 East, Town of McMillan. Parcel numbers as listed. The Town of McMillan Town Board met on September 17th, 2025. Marathon County's Environmental Resource Committee is meeting today, September 30th, 2025 at 3 p.m. A legal advertisement was published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change request was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. On September 17th, 2025, the Town of McMillan Town Board recommended approval to Marathon County's Environmental Resources Committee. Staff recommendation: the rezone meets all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezone also appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town's comprehensive plan and as indicated by the town resolution. Based on the information provided above, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the town's recommendation, it appears the rezone request meets all the rezone criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, CPZ staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. Should the rezone be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Garrett? Okay, no questions. I will ask, is there anybody here or online that would like to speak in favor of item 5A4? One more time, is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of item 5A4? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A4? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A4? Calling once.
I want to speak, this is Katie Officer, sorry, I couldn't get my mute button off. I am in favor.
Okay, can I get you to, can I swear you in, please?
Yes, please.
Will you please raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what can you tell us speaking in favor, you said?
I am in favor of the rezoning for the property on Krause Street, as Tim has explained.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Would anybody like to speak against item 5A4? And I will go one more time. Would anybody like to speak against item 5A4? Calling once, is there anybody that would like to speak as interested in item 5A4? Okay, I will declare the hearing closed and the committee will deliberate. What are your wishes? Supervisor Schoenborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do make a petition, approval of, to approve the behalf of the Franciscan Association of Divine Mercy to amend the General Code of Ordinance for Marathon County, Chapter to rezone lands from farm preservation to rural estate and general agriculture in the town of McMillan. To approve it, please.
Okay, Supervisor Schoenborn with the motion to approve. Do I have a second? Supervisor Drabek with a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5A5, Shad Harvey, Marathon County Land Resources Manager, to amend the Marathon County zoning ordinance to rezone lands within the towns of Brighton, O'Plain, Hull, and Marathon. Shad, can I get you to raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
Just get the staff report up here. I wanted to, since it was my petition, I'd figure I'd give Garrett a break. Let's see here. There we go. All right. So I know there's a lot of information in the packet regarding this one. All right, so Shad Harvey, Marathon County Land Resource Manager, petition to rezone land, staff report September 30th, 2025 for the Environmental Resource Committee. The petitioner is myself, Land Resource Manager at 1100 Lakeview Drive, Suite 400, Wausau, Wisconsin. Property owners, I do have it's in your packet, but also in the staff report below, there are several properties, a total of 234 properties that are proposed to be rezoned. They're located in the towns of Brighton, Eau Plaine, Hull, and Marathon. The request, the petition of Shad Harvey, Marathon County Land Resource Manager, to amend the Marathon County zoning ordinance to rezone lands within the towns of Brighton, Eau Plaine, Hull, and Marathon for the purposes of ensuring consistency between the Marathon County zoning maps and the Marathon County Farm Preservation Plan as required by the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, or DATCAP. The areas, parcels proposed to be rezoned are described, can be viewed online or in the staff report. So there have been several public hearings on this. The town of Brighton did hold their town board meeting on September 9th, 2025. The town of Eau Plaine town board meeting, the town of Hull and Marathon all met September 9th of 2025. And then today, September 30th, 2025 at ERC. There was a legal advertisement published in the Wausau Daily Herald. Notice of the zoning change was also sent by regular mail to adjacent property owners within 300 feet of the subject properties. All of these parcels are currently zoned farm preservation. And then in the table we included in the staff report, our staff went through and identified what zoning district these parcels should go to based on size and use of the parcel. So those are all reflected. I won't go through all 234. If you have specific questions, I'd be happy to address them. I did just want to point out, I know it came up in a previous staff report as well regarding the farm preservation plan, just for the committee. I put the farm preservation plan maps in the staff report as well for the towns that this staff report's about. So this is the map essentially that identifies what areas are eligible to be in farm pres and what ones aren't. Green is eligible. The orangish color means it's not eligible. All of these parcels that are before you for the rezone, when we did the update in 2024, they were all originally eligible to be in farm pres, and then with that plan update, they were moved to ineligible. Many of them, it's due to property owner changes, and they didn't have enough acreage to be in farm pres, which is why they were identified in the plan as not being eligible anymore. And we are in the process after our comprehensive zoning code revision, we'll be working on the farm preservation ordinance. One of the requirements of that is to make sure our zoning and our farm pres plan map are consistent with one another. So this is kind of the first step in that. But I just put those maps in the staff report for your guys' reference. On September 8th, the town of Marathon Town Board did recommend approval. And then on September 9th, Brighton, Eau Plaine, and Hull also recommended approval for these rezones. I do have the conclusions of law listed for you. The rezones do meet all the zoning district standards as it relates to size, frontage, access, and dimension. The rezones also appear to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the town comprehensive plan as indicated by the resolutions. Based on the information provided above findings of fact and conclusions of law and the town's recommendations, it appears the rezone meets all the zoning district criteria and standards for rezoning. Therefore, we would recommend that the Environmental Resource Committee recommend approval to the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. And then should these rezones be approved by Marathon County Board of Supervisors, CPZ staff recommend that the town update its comprehensive plan to reflect the zoning change if applicable. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know this is a little bit different than the ones that you've seen in the past.
Any questions for Shad? Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What is the total amount of acres that were transitioned from farmland preservation?
So I should be able to look that up quickly. I don't have that. It doesn't pull from the 80% though, like we talked about before, because the 80% is only for, so I'll go back up to these maps. Only the parcels that are in green, 80% of those parcels need to be in Farm Pres. So when they redid the maps, all of these parcels that we have in front of you for a rezone are identified as orange in the map, so they wouldn't be part of that 80%.
Any other questions, comments? All right, is there anybody that would like to speak for item 5A5? Once again, is there anybody who'd like to speak for item 5A5? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A5? Is there anybody that would like to speak against item 5A5? Is there anybody who would like to speak as interested to item 5A5? Okay, hearing none, I will declare this hearing closed and the committee will deliberate. What are your wishes? Supervisor Seifelt.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion for the petition of Shad Harvey, Marathon County Land Resource Manager, to amend the Marathon County zoning ordinance to rezone land within the towns of Brighton, O'Plain, Hall, and Marathon for the purpose of ensuring consistency between Marathon County zoning maps and maps or Marathon County farmland preservation for the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Commission, which is DATCAP.
Okay, I have a motion from Supervisor Seifelt. Do I have a second? Supervisor Drabek with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 5B1, Town of Texas proposed changes to the zoning ordinance.
All right, so these are zoning ordinance changes at town zone town, so a little different than how we would do them in Marathon County, but they handle the public hearing and stuff on their end. Their proposed changes are related to wind and solar, adding animal units, and then there's some definitions they added in there as well. Our staff did do a review on the wind and solar, and it does appear to be in line with state, very consistent like with ours. And they provided us everything that we need to kind of move it forward on the committee level.
Okay, any questions for Shad on this one? But I still ask in favor with these, right?
It's not, they handled the public hearing, it's
Yeah,
just.
so the hearing is taken care of, so.
So you would just, it'd be the motion, whatever the
Okay.
board would want to do with the amendments.
Sure, okay, so I guess what are your wishes with item 5B1? Anybody care to make a motion? Supervisor Crowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve the Town of Texas proposed changes to the zoning ordinance.
Okay, Supervisor Crowell with the motion, Supervisor Kurt with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5B2, Town of Texas, Douglas and Bernadine Wilkie rezone from RS 140 to C1.
So very similar with this, this is just a rezone at a county or a town zone town level. They handled the public hearing and also supplied us with the information that we'd require to move it on to the committee level. So essentially, just like what was stated, it's a rezone from RS to C1. And they handled the public hearing on their end, so it would just be whatever the board's wishes are for moving it.
Okay, any questions for Shad on this one? Okay, what are your wishes for 5B2? Supervisor Seifelt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion for the town of Texas of Douglas and Bernadine Wilkie to rezone from RS 140 to C1.
Okay, I have the motion. Do I have a second? Supervisor Schoenborn with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5C, we have none. Item 5D, review and possible action. 5D1, Bowers second addition final plot, Town of Spencer.
Thank you. So my name is Dave Decker. I'm the county surveyor. I'm here to present Bowers County Plat Second Edition, final plat, Town of Spencer. Plat requirements, the plat complies with Chapter 236 of the Wisconsin statutes, Chapter 87 of the Wisconsin Administrative Code, and Chapter 18 of Wisconsin Marathon County Code of Ordinances regarding subdivisions and mapping. Plat is in the Town of Spencer and is county zone. All lots being created meet zoning standards as set forth in Chapter 17. Stormwater management plan was not required. There's no infrastructure being proposed. The town road provides access to all the lots being created. For that reason, no erosion control plan was required, and no wetland areas were identified in the plat area. Sanitary sewer, the Bauer preliminary plat is approved by the Health Department based on the soil types. Soil testing was done for all the lots on the plat. And again, like I said, all proposed lots will have access to Lorraine Drive. Prior to this submittal of the final plat of Bowers County Plat Second Edition, concept plat correspondence took place. A previous certified survey map was approved on July 1st. Lot 1 of this certified survey map is being further subdivided by this plat. Design concepts and plans were discussed and agreed upon by all parties involved. The preliminary plat was approved by this committee on August 8th, 2025, and the final plat reflects all aspects of the preliminary plat. Based on the information provided, CPC staff recommend that the Environmental Resources Committee approve the proposed final plat of Bowers County Plat Second Edition.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for staff? Okay, would anybody care to make a motion on this one? Anyone? Supervisor Seefeld.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion to approve the Bauer second edition final plat in the town of Spencer.
Supervisor Seefeld with the motion. Do I have a second? Supervisor Drabeck with the second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 6, 6A, department updates. We have none. So we move on to item 7, policy issues, discussions, and potential committee determinations. 7A, overview of the highlights of the 2026 annual budget with respect to the departments and organizations over which the committee has jurisdiction.
Mr. Chair, I think I can kick that off.
Okay, Administrator Leonard.
Sure, thank you. I'll be brief. You'll be getting all the members of the various standing committees and all board members, of course, will be getting a link to the budget presentation that was just made starting at 1 o'clock, which many of you came in at the tail end of that. So with respect to the overview relative to the individual departments that this committee hears from frequently, I'll echo a couple of points. One, it is a status quo budget, absent a couple of areas where the board has made or a committee has made a specific reference to expand a program or provide some additional funding. The two examples that I would give there relate to the minimum revenue guarantee program at Central Wisconsin Airport, where funding was directed by the board to be included in the budget. And then secondarily, there was a request for continued funding to address homelessness that again, was discussed by the joint City of Wausau and Marathon County Task Force, and then the the Health and Human Services Committee. So as it relates to the departments that you are very familiar with, that you hear from frequently, start with Conservation Planning and Zoning. Want to give a big credit to Conservation Planning and Zoning and all the departments that participated, and I think it's good examples within Conservation Planning and Zoning, Solid Waste, as well as Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. First, all the departments really did look to align their revenue streams with the various expenses and primarily personnel expenses that we have. So starting with Conservation Planning and Zoning, really taking a look at the various fee-for-service programs that we have, whether that's non-metallic mining or our Metropolitan Planning Organization support, making sure that we're maximizing any reimbursements through grants. Second, I would say Conservation Planning and Zoning again, with regard to fees, making sure that those increases were appropriate was important. And then lastly, as a number of departments did, to implement all of the aspects of the budget, including the board's number one priority, which was implementation of the compensation plan update. We defunded a lot of positions across the county, approximately 15, the equivalent of 15 full-time equivalent allocated positions. One of those positions was within Conservation Planning and Zoning. With respect to Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, I'd echo all those same comments, and I see Jamie's on as well. They defunded a position as well. If you look through the fee appendix in the budget document that's available online, you'll see similarly increases in a number of areas within the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department to capture our cost of delivering service. And then finally, with respect to solid waste, similar comments. Fees for services increased. They defunded one existing position within their staff, and they're making some modifications to reduce overtime spend within the department. They're gonna modify hours of operation on Saturdays. That's a big area where certainly a positive service we deliver to the community, but the cost to deliver that service is substantial and requires a lot of overtime. So we're gonna work to implement some changes there, message that to the community. Again, a cost-saving measure. Ultimately, that benefits the overall budget, not in the sense that levy goes into solid waste, but rather the contribution they make to the general fund benefits the overall county budget. And of course, controlling their expenditures is helpful given the fact that their reserves have been depleted over the last several years, given increased costs for the significant construction programs they have. The last thing I would note with respect, I neglected to mention this as it relates to Park, Recreation, and Forestry before. Because of the unique nature of that department, as you know, our Parks Department also provides services for the City of Wausau on their parks system. We took another look across the county at those departments that do operate as multi-municipal entities. So think of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, the Aging Disability Resource Center that serves Lincoln, Langlade, Marathon, and Wood counties, Central Wisconsin Airport that serves Marathon and Portage, Solid Waste that supports not only Marathon County, but our intergovernmental agreement. We take refuse from Portage and Shawano counties. So in those situations, we really look to make sure that we appropriately capturing the support services that Marathon County, pursuant to a lot of those intergovernmental agreements, provides. So things like HR, legal, and finance support. Are we capturing appropriate costs to make sure that all of the members are sharing equally in those expenses? So Parks, Recreation, and Forestry and Solid Waste, we revisited those numbers, and those were built into the budget as well. So that is less than a 5-minute overview of what the HR Finance and Property Committee got in 1 hour and 45 minutes. But happy to answer any questions. And Jamie, if there's anything else you want to highlight in your budget, or if anyone from CPZ wants to highlight anything, happy to give that opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, HR Finance Chair Robinson would like to say a word.
The committee accepted the budget today, so it is no longer the administrative budget, it is now the county board's budget. And I sent out yesterday a schedule for dealing with the budget, but we're now looking for input from the standing committees as it relates to the budget. And there'll be two opportunities to do that. One beginning today through the committee will be authorizing publication of the budget on October 13th. That will freeze the budget until after the public hearing. So we can take amendments now and then, but then once the public hearing is held, we will then have another round of amendments that will be considered by the committee on November 10th and presented to the county board on the 11th. We really welcome either individual members or county board members or committee, individual or committee input into the budget. I know you've been active in developing recommendations throughout the fall, but that process continues as we move ahead. And thank you for your past contributions and suggestions. And I encourage you to take some time to look at it. If you have questions, contact the administrator and the staff or members of the HR Finance Committee.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Supervisor Kroll?
This is more of a joke, Administrator, but I've been looking for this all day and it was not up, this link. When did this go live?
Our meeting was at 1 o'clock. I think it was posted at 12:51. So I would say we delivered the budget more than a week earlier this year than last year, but we took full advantage of every moment we had up until that week was up.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, are we looking for any kind of action today on this? No. Okay. Okay, so no questions or comments, but yes, please keep in mind, take a look for this stuff when it does come out, and give any input that you have for any of the departments that fall under our committee here. So item 7B, the summary of proposed changes to Marathon County General Code of Ordinances 11.02 Animal Waste Management Ordinance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time today. We're excited to be up here talking to you about our draft changes to the animal waste ordinance. I know there's mostly seasoned ERC faces around the table, but just to bring everyone to the same place, since there's at least one new face on the committee, we really have been talking about some of these changes for well over a year now. So we've been on a journey together for a long time. And so it was very exciting about a week ago to get you all these proposed ordinance changes in your packet for your monthly committee meeting. It is something that our department had spent time really trying to make sure we get this right for you the first time. So it was developed with great care, and I want to give a lot of credit to Matt Repking, who did a great deal of research and consulting with our colleagues in Wisconsin and doing research from around the country to make sure this is something that will really work well for Marathon County. The real credit can be tied back to the farmer work group that we've been meeting with for months in 2025. As we've discussed, there's been some wonderful compromises that have come out of the initial proposal that was brought before you about 9 months ago, where we heard some concerns from our community and organizations that are important to us here in Marathon County, and we really took that to heart and wanted to make sure that we listened to everyone and worked together to weave in the changes that we felt would work well for everyone. And so I appreciated what Supervisor Robinson said. This is not Administrator Leonard's budget, it's your budget. Well, this is no longer our ordinance change. This is now ERC's ordinance change to look over. So it has been released to you, and we are hoping that you will take some time to take a deep dive into this in the coming weeks, and then come to us with questions and discussion points, because we are excited about it. There's a lot of people that are excited about this, and so we really are eager to work with you to making this the best version of this ordinance as possible. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the review process for the changes that you've received. We did connect with Corporation Counsel Mike Puner before he transitioned out of his current role, and he did an initial review. And we appreciated his very wise counsel, and we'll miss him very much. He did recommend that we contract with outside counsel for review at this time. One of the main reasons being we are kind of in a transition window right now until our new corporation council starts at the end of this month. And it would be a lot for a new person to jump in and try to review it quickly when we are trying to stick with the timeline that ERC previously communicated to us as November 2025, of wanting to kind of have something that we're ready to bring to others to look at. So in great news, we were able to work with Mike Puner to contract with attorney Jane Landretti, who is out of the Stafford Rosenbaum law firm in Madison. And she has a wonderful background. She actually was the lead counsel for DATCAP, or the Department of Ag, for many years. So the chapters of state statutes that we work in as conservationists on a daily basis, she is an expert in this subject matter. And she has also served as counsel for the DNR and for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. So she lives and breathes these statutes that we're dealing with, and many conservationists around Wisconsin recommended her when we reached out asking for recommendations. So we're very excited about Jane reviewing. And of course, we really look forward to connecting with the new Corporation Council that starts in the coming weeks, because ultimately they will also be working with us to kind of fine tune this. The final decision on these draft changes, once things have been tweaked, if they are, will be our new Corporation Council and then County Board when it comes before them. And one helpful piece of framework to keep in mind as we're talking about all of this is that all along we have talked about delayed implementation. So this is not something that if the County Board were to vote on, it would immediately become applicable to us here in Marathon County. We've talked at, plus or minus 3 years, and that's something we can talk about in more detail, but this is not something that would immediately become active. Go ahead, ma'am.
So there's kind of a process we'll have to go through as we embark on this journey a little bit farther. Today, we're just asking you as ERC just to take a look at it and begin to review the changes that we've made. It seems like a lot of information there, and there is quite a bit of information there. But bring those questions, comments, discussion to our special meeting that we're having in October 14th, and then we'll get into it a little bit more with everything in the discussion that goes along with it. The end of the month, around that October 27th, we'll be meeting with our farmer work group again to kind of go through the ordinance draft with them and follow up with a discussion about them that we're going to have. Then at the December 4th meeting, we'll have more discussion for ERC, and also any public comments that we've received at that time, we'll share them with you. One big thing we'll be doing in November is having open houses and educational sessions. So we'll send out mailings to our nutrient management group, our dairy group that we have lists for, grazing groups, pretty much any farm group that we have a list for mailing. We'll reach out to them and try to get this information out to them. So then when we get into December, we could have a potential vote at the ERC meeting in early December for this. And then that's where the state becomes involved after that. So if ERC does approve it, then Land Conservation will talk with DNR and DATCAP, and then we pass that document on to them to start their approval process. And that review process can take up to 90 days. So that would put us potentially at March of 2026 for a county board vote. We've already been talking with DNR and DATCAP both, and they're aware of what we're working on. So when we do present the document to them, they said that they will start the review process at that time, but they won't start it any earlier. So we just want to kind of go through again real quick, what our proposed changes are to the animal waste ordinance. We'll just do a real broad overview. I mean, we went through these back in August, but we'll just do it real quick again. So kind of our first big one was a winter spreading permit. And for farms that have a nutrient management plan, they already have a winter spreading permit. So that's about 60% of farms in Marathon County. When we look at the other 40%, that's a mix of both livestock operations and crop farmers, but the livestock operations, if they're applying liquid animal waste, we would be requiring them to get a winter spreading permit. And really what that is kind of a simplified nutrient management plan. And we're looking at areas, setbacks from, we want to stay away from wells, surface water. We just kind of want to protect those environmentally sensitive areas. Our suggestion at this time would be $200 for a 4-year permit. And if farmers wanted to forego the winter spreading permit, they would have to get a nutrient management plan. And our county does offer nutrient management plan courses through our office in North Central Technical College and Midstate Tech that are essentially free. They pay a small amount up front, they come to the class, they complete the plan, and then they're reimbursed for that cost. So really what their investment is a time in the class. But it's helpful just to understand a plan, look at the sensitive areas that are on the landscape, and try to protect those areas as much as possible when we're putting manure out there. It's just a good management and budgeting practice.
And then one other thing just to add is I know, as elected officials, you want to think through all this. Okay, is there a financial burden to people for some of this? First thing with the winter spreading permit, if people don't want to get that, they can get a nutrient management plan. Marathon County will always have a free way to get a nutrient management plan. That is something that's been a huge priority for us since nutrient management plans have existed. So that's why I say it's so emphatically, because we believe that so strongly here, and we don't want that to be a barrier for people to get a nutrient management plan.
And we have about 30 to 50 farmers that come through our classes a year.
And everyone is welcome.
Yes, we send out a mailing to all farms that are involved with nutrient management and offer it to them.
And then the next part of the change would be related to the seasonal spreading limitations for the medium-sized farms. I was about to say medium to large-sized farms, but nothing changes with the large farms over 1,000 animal units. They already are restricted with their spreading this time of year with the current rules. So this is something where we realize there likely is a need for some additional education and outreach as things go along, because this is essentially the one key item that we proposed to you about 9 months ago, where we were just saying, let's move forward with seasonal spreading limitations for all farms. So one very important compromise that came out of our work group is we have removed the small farms from the seasonal spreading limitations. This does not affect small farms. Small farms will not have to build manure storage. This is only for farms 300 to 999 animal units. And we started at 300 animal units because that is the Environmental Protection Agency's definition of a medium-sized farm, is 300 animal units. So it's not our definition, that's the EPA's. So this restriction is just for 60 days. We're asking everyone to come together in unity for 60 days during our high-risk period to either store your manure or find an alternative game plan to daily spreading that manure. As a reminder, if we do have a warm year and the soil is not frozen in February or March, they can spread their liquid manure during that time. And then we've talked a little bit about the demographics of what this group looks like. So it's about 40 to 60 farms in Marathon County that would fall within the medium-sized farms. The majority of them do have long-term manure storage. At the time we gathered this data, it was estimated that it's likely 6 to 10 farms that still daily haul some manure. We do need to connect a little bit further with these farms, but we are believing that it is on the low end of 6 to 10 farms, so likely just a handful of farms that we would need to work with to connect them to cost-sharing resources and alternative game plans in the next 3 to 5 years before this would affect them.
So the final piece we talked about was buffers. And with this applies to everybody. So the first two really focused on livestock operations, and where this last one, it applies to everyone that farms cropland. So we got the cash grain farmers, they're a very big part of this also. So like we said, 35-foot buffer along perennial and intermittent streams, just more or less a tillage setback. And in that area, they can have a perennial grass buffer or any sort of buffer that they can manage and harvest if they have to. It would need to be at least 50% grass is what we're proposing. And the buffer with that type of setback, you can't apply nutrients in it. It's more of a nutrient catch. So if we have things running off the field, sediment, nutrients, flows into that area, and then actually a good management practice is to harvest and remove that. So we're removing nutrients from that area, and it's not discharging into our streams. That's pretty much the heart of it. I mean, it gets into a lot more detail in the draft language, but it's really just a 35-foot perennial grass buffer.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's things there that are already working as a buffer, that would count towards that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if it's a stream going through a woodland, we're not asking anyone to cut down trees and tear it up and plant something else. You leave it. If you already have naturally occurring grasses there, that it's enough vegetative cover, we're saying leave it. Do not till it up and plant something new. So we're trying to make it very easy, very palatable to anyone that has a stream on their property. And we do have time, resources, technical assistance to offer folks as well. There are many, many landowners in which the new ordinance changes will not affect them at all because they are already doing these things. So this is not something that will affect everyone, but this is something that our farmer work group thought this is something we can do as a county. This is doable. This is all common sense stuff that we can work on together and get done. And the results that we're going to see from these ordinance changes in terms of the reduction of nutrients getting into our surface water is absolutely phenomenal. It's very, very exciting. So.
One last quick point about the buffers too is that a lot of the areas where these buffers are on areas that are marginal soils. So it's not our most productive ground, but it's on areas where, farmers may not get a return every year on some of these areas, or they may be losing money continually. So it is probably a better use to have it in buffers in many of these areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, marginal areas. When we had talked before, these are areas where we can get a pretty significant reduction in phosphorus runoff. Every field is really different. There's going to be some where there's definitely going to be higher potential for losses depending on what the soil types are, infiltration. And those are all things that we can look at to see what the reductions are. But as a whole, when we looked at it and we went through all that data previously, we did show a pretty significant reduction on average. A lot of times it was 60, 70, 80%.
Yeah, so with that, that's kind of our high-level recap of the changes. It's maybe good for you all to hear that a few times so that when people come up to you and ask, so what's going on with these changes? You'll just have it already memorized and the canned speech ready to go of what we would potentially be changing. So are there any questions we could answer for you at
Any
this
questions
time?
or comments for Kirsty or Matt? Supervisor Kroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing, Kirsty, is I love seeing this buffer photo every time you do the slides. I just always freeze it on my screen because it's just so good. My question is, I actually have two. So my first is, so will you anticipate any staffing or more additional staffing to help, oversee any additional nutrient management plans that are in place, I guess because of this? So that's the first question. Maybe you can answer that first.
We would not anticipate a need in increased staffing. We've already had very productive discussions as a department, conservation planning and zoning, talking about, okay, in the winter months, when we are needing to be working with nutrient management plans and winter spreading permits, could we tie in some of our zoning staff where they have, maybe a little bit more capacity when things are frozen up versus when everyone's constructing and running crazy with building permits. And so far, those have been wonderful and exciting discussions to talk about how can we just tie in existing staff to increase capacity instead of bringing in new staff. I will also say we'll talk about this a little bit more at our special meeting, but we're also wrapping up a multi-year watershed project for the Fenwood Creek watershed. So we'll never stop working in the Fenwood Creek watershed, but we'll have more capacity because we will be wrapping up something very time consuming in that watershed. And if we're a couple years out yet, we would anticipate having more availability to devote to these initiatives instead of a highly intensive watershed initiative. So we've thought about that a lot too. That's a good question. But yeah, bringing in more staff has never been part of the discussion.
Great. And then just a follow-up. So the exemption for small farms from the spreading limits, is there any restrictions for buffers for any of the small farms, or are all farms going to have to have a 35-foot buffer at some point?
Yeah, the small farm exemption is just for the winter spreading restrictions, right? Yeah. Buffers is something we're approaching with unity, that we want buffers on all streams in Marathon County. Our whole county can look like this picture that you love, which is so exciting to think of that and what that can do for our streams and our rivers and the Wisconsin River system. So yeah, just the winter spreading restrictions for the small farms. But one of the reasons that buffers were so appealing to our work group was that it also ties in the non-livestock producers. So producers that have a cash grain rotation and are not applying manure, but we know they're using commercial fertilizers, and there's also soil loss off of those fields. Those cash grain rotations will be captured with the buffers to reduce phosphorus as well. So a little bit more fair across the board. Go team buffers. Love it.
Any other questions? Tom?
Matt, are you working on an inventory of the best possible places to put these buffers throughout the county?
Right now, it would just be across all intermittent and perennial streams. Any place that where a cropland touches those or are close to those areas. We do have language written into the draft ordinance that talks if landowners feel that it's an area that shouldn't have a buffer along it, staff can come out and do a review of that area and take a look at it. And then we did create a map similar to what Minnesota has with all the areas that would have buffers on it. So that would be one thing that we would share and show farms, and they could look at that map and see if their farm would be in that area where there's buffers.
Okay, Chair Gibbs.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Christy and Matt, for this, the overview. Two questions I have. So, and one of them aligns with the previous question. So, are we going to have a map in the ordinance that shows what is delineated as being streams, or when we talk about intermittent streams, somebody may classify it as a stream. Some person may not classify it as a stream because it's only wet during the spring when the runoff. And then the follow-up to that question would be, or another question is, who's going to be the certifying authority when a farm meets the 300 animal unit versus below 300 animal units?
So for the first one with the maps, we're using DNR's descriptions of what are intermittent and perennial streams. So we just took their data, used GIS, did an overlay, and then had a 35-foot buffer off of that. So that's what we're using. And as far as sharing maps, we would probably share that on our county mapping site. And then we'd also talk with the people at the state level to share it on the SNAP Plus website, which is the nutrient management program for the state level, and have it there. If there's other places that we could share it also that would be willing to host it, we could share it at those other locations too. As far as sharing like individual maps, it gets a little challenging on paper just because in order to zoom in and see parcels, it can be a challenge, but if we're working with just a specific property owner that has smaller acreage, then it's pretty easy because you can have a zoomed in map, show exactly where it lays. But even at the town level, when I tried making some maps, it gets difficult because a 35-foot setback on a town basis is a line. For the 300 animal units, that will be a little bit of a challenge over time, addressing that. One way we look at it is, as we work with landowners, we do see increases in animal units, and through our correspondence with them, either through getting permits for applications for building livestock facilities, that's one way we interact with people and talk with them about what's required. Applications for manure storages, and then people just coming through our classes for nutrient management too. We have the same challenges with livestock siting, and sometimes it takes a couple of years to catch up with people and then educate them on what the requirements are. Kirsty, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'll just, I guess, speak for all of us when I say our department is not interested in going out and counting cows on anyone's farm, just for the record. But I mean, we've successfully dealt with needing to know numbers of animal units, like Matt mentioned with our livestock siting program, where you need a livestock siting permit if you're at 500 animal units. And we've operated that program successfully for many years. And so, with anything, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but with the various data we receive from folks, and, we stay in communication with these medium to large size farms very closely through our department. So we wouldn't anticipate that being a barrier, but there may be a few little spots where that could get tricky at times, but it's doable.
Okay, any other questions? Supervisor Drabek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. See, I was just wondering, with the farm group, you're planning on one more meeting. Now, things don't always go according to plan all the time at these, so are you willing to have more than one more meeting? I mean, how many more, there should be some variation there that they could be more than that, which would set all this back a little bit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I hope we keep that farmer work group forever, because it's been wonderful and the people in it have been great to know better. And a lot of them have developed good working relationships, just getting to know each other. So we're not interested in dissolving that group anytime soon. We just know we'd like to meet with them in October to also talk about these changes in a great deal of detail. So yeah, we're open to as many meetings that are needed with that group, with you all. And of course, keep in mind that the timelines that we mentioned here are just tentative and you are all in charge of the timeline. We just thought we would maybe suggest, how things could possibly go, if it's helpful at all, but.
And if you could, I'll try to follow up with an email, but for the October meeting, could you please send me an invite to that? I'd like to be present.
Is it because we're serving lunch this time?
I didn't hear that, but that's a bonus.
Yes, we'd be happy to.
Great. Anybody else? Questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Okay, item 8, our next meeting, October 14th, 2025, we have our special ERC meeting, and on our regular meeting will be November 4th, 2025. Future agenda items, committee members are asked to bring ideas for future discussion. 8B, announcements, requests or correspondence. Anybody? Lori?
Okay, so the special ERC, or not the special, I'm sorry, the ERC date packets in your folder for 2026, hopefully they're, I don't think it's yet. They are the ones through March 31st, we can count on for sure. The ones after that are not until the new board is in session, so we have to make sure everything for the next session has been adopted. I'll be planning for the first part of the year and the second part of the year.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and like we said, special ERC meetings on Tuesday, October 14th, 3 p.m., right here in the assembly room. Okay, I guess we're on to item 9. Supervisor Crowell with a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Drabeck with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.